One thing to remember when you're sewing is that fabric moves. I always liken it to it having a life of its own, and the reason for that is the way that it's made. You've got your threads going across and then they're woven, so you'll be quite familiar with it, seeing those in weaving kits, and it's something that most of us have done when we were at school. So if you're going with the grain, see, there's hardly any movement in there at all, and you come to the side and there isn't any there either. But as soon as you start going across the angles, just look at how much movement there is in that fabric. So that's one of the things that you need to be aware of, especially when you're doing patchwork and you're cutting it into small pieces. The smaller pieces there are, the greater movement there can be. Now, one of the shapes that causes big problems are triangles and also circles. So what I find is when I'm doing my quilts or the applique cushions, I always cut them bigger than I need. I do the design, I do the quilting, and then I cut them down to the size. That means then that you're going to get the shape that you want. Whether you want a circle, you're going to get your perfect circle because you can draw around and cut around it once it's finished. And with quilts you can square them off once all the quilting is done, because as you're putting it through the machine it will drag one way or the other, even though a walking foot does help. So to save yourself some frustration, just remember that fabric moves. It's part of the way that it's made, it's part of its appeal, and don't get too frustrated if things just don't turn out quite the way that you're expecting. And that by cutting down to size afterwards, that can save a lot of the problems. I hope that you found that useful, and I'll speak soon.